Commander Zaxtral's four-fingered hand trembled slightly as he adjusted his formal military uniform. The summons to the High Council had been unexpected. In his 30 cycles of service to the Galactic Empire, he had only been called before them twice. The massive doors to the council chamber slid open with a soft hiss. Zaxtral took a deep breath and entered. The circular room was dimly lit, with 12 council members seated on elevated platforms. Emperor Dravkor sat on the highest platform, his scaled skin reflecting the blue light from below. "Commander Zaxtral, your service record is impressive," said the Emperor, his voice deep and resonant. "Your experience in conquest operations is why you were summoned today." Zaxtral bowed. "I am honored to serve, Your Highness." Admiral Pexval, the head of military operations, activated a holographic display in the center of the room. A small blue and green planet appeared, rotating slowly. "This is target designation XJ2275, locally known as Earth," explained the Admiral. "Our long-range scans show minimal space defenses, primitive technology, and abundant resources. The native species has not yet developed interstellar travel." Zaxtral felt his four hearts skip a beat. Earth. The name triggered something in his memory, a classified file he had viewed years ago. "The 7th Battle Fleet is already preparing for invasion," continued Admiral Pexval. "We expect minimal resistance. The operation should be complete within one standard rotation." "If I may speak, Your Highness," Zaxtral said, stepping forward. "I recognize this planet designation from the restricted military archives." The room fell silent. The Emperor leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "Explain, Commander." "Earth is listed in Section Omega of Prohibited Targets, Your Highness. 3 previous civilizations have attempted to conquer it. None returned." Murmurs filled the chamber. The Emperor raised a hand, and silence returned. "I request a full audience to present evidence before any action is taken," said Zaxtral, knowing he was risking his career and possibly his life. After a moment of consideration, Emperor Dravkor nodded. "You have 1 day to prepare your case, Commander. The Council will reconvene tomorrow." As Zaxtral departed, Admiral Pexval glared at him with all 3 of his eyes. On Earth, NASA astronaut Kate Miller floated in the observation module of the International Space Station, her eyes fixed on a computer screen showing unusual energy readings. "John, can you take a look at this?" she called to her colleague. John Dawson pushed himself across the module and studied the screen. The reading showed brief energy spikes at the edge of the solar system. "Probably just a sensor glitch," he said, scratching his beard. "We've been having issues with that array all week." Kate frowned. "It's the 3rd time today. The pattern seems almost deliberate. Run a diagnostic if you want, but Mission Control will just tell us to reset the system again." John pushed himself back toward his workstation. Kate stared at the screen a moment longer. Something felt off, but she couldn't place it. With a sigh, she began the diagnostic program. In San Diego, Ryan Collins woke up gasping for air. The dreams were getting worse. Strange star patterns, battles he'd never fought, creatures he'd never seen. He fumbled for the notebook he kept by his bed and quickly sketched what he remembered. A massive ship with strange markings, a council room filled with beings that weren't human. As a former Navy SEAL, Ryan was used to stress and pressure, but these dreams were different. They felt like memories, not dreams. And they were becoming more frequent, more detailed. His phone buzzed. It was a text from Dr. Laura Bennett, the neurologist he'd finally agreed to see. "Any more episodes? Can you come in today?" Ryan texted back a quick yes and got out of bed. As he showered and dressed, he couldn't shake the feeling that something big was coming. Something that would change everything. Outside his window, the morning sky was clear and blue. Ryan wondered how long it would stay that way. Zaxtral spent the night in his quarters reviewing classified files. His security clearance as a war veteran gave him access to records most officers would never see. What he found made his scaled skin grow cold. The next day, he stood again before the Emperor and High Council, his posture stiff but determined. "Your Highness, honorable council members, I come with a warning," Zax Troll began. His voice echoed in the large chamber. "3 civilizations have attempted to conquer Earth. The Vexor Empire in cycle 7829, the Krell Dominion in cycle 9012, and the Tyrgan Collective just 400 cycles ago. None succeeded. None returned." Admiral Pexval laughed. "Ridiculous. The Tyrgan had planet-killer weapons. How could primitive humans defeat them?" Zax Troll activated a holographic projector. A recording appeared, showing a thin, trembling alien with 6 eyes. Its scales were dull, and it kept looking over its shoulder. "This is Sub-Commander Grell of the Tyrgan Collective," Zax Troll explained. "His escape pod was recovered by one of our patrols. He was the only survivor." The recording began to play. The alien spoke in a shaking voice. "Do not go to Earth. They are not what they appear to be. They get inside your mind, make you see things, feel things. My crew, they killed themselves to make it stop. The humans, they're not right." The council watched in silence as the alien in the recording grew more agitated, eventually screaming before the video cut off. Sub-Commander Grell took his own life 3 days after this recording, Zax Troll said quietly. "Before he died, he gave me this." He held up a small data crystal. "It contains all the information the Tyrgan gathered about Earth, about humans." Emperor Dravkor leaned forward. "Play it." In her laboratory at Johns Hopkins University, Dr. Laura Bennett studied the brain scans on her screen with growing concern. Ryan Collins sat nearby, electrodes attached to his head. "These patterns are unlike anything I've seen before," she said. "Your brain is showing activity in regions that should be dormant." Ryan rubbed his temples. "The headaches are getting worse. And the dreams." He hesitated. "They don't feel like dreams anymore. They feel like I'm seeing through someone else's eyes." Dr. Bennett turned to face him. "You're not the only one, Ryan. I've received calls from doctors around the world with patients showing the same symptoms. All started in the last week. All with the same brain activity." She pulled up another screen showing a world map with dozens of red dots. "Each dot represents a case like yours. The numbers are growing every day." Ryan stood up and walked to the window. "Something's coming, isn't it?" "I don't know," Dr. Bennett replied honestly. "But whatever it is, you and the others like you seem to be connected to it somehow." Kate Miller floated in the ISS, staring out at the stars. The communication system had been glitching all day, cutting out at random intervals. Mission Control blamed solar flares, but the sun had been quiet for weeks. The energy readings at the edge of the solar system were stronger now. John had finally agreed they weren't equipment malfunctions. "Kate, you need to see this," John called from the main module. His voice sounded strange. She pushed herself through the station and found him staring at a live feed from one of the external cameras. Something was moving against the star field, something that shouldn't be there. "Is that?" she began. "It's not one of ours," John confirmed. "And it's not Russian or Chinese. It's not from Earth at all." As they watched, the object changed direction, moving with precision no human spacecraft could match. Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, it vanished. "We need to report this," Kate said, reaching for the communication panel. When she pressed the button, there was only static. All communications with Earth were dead. The data crystal projected a 3-dimensional model of the human body. Zax Troll manipulated the display to highlight various features as he spoke. "Humans appear fragile, but their biology tells a different story," he explained to the council. "Their bones can heal from breaks. Their skin repairs itself after injury. They can survive the loss of limbs and even some organs." Admiral Pexval snorted. "Many species have regenerative abilities, but few combine it with their mental traits," Zax Troll continued. Humans can adapt to almost any environment on their planet. From frozen wastelands to burning deserts, they can survive extreme temperature changes that would kill most species. He changed the display to show a human brain. Their true danger lies here. Humans possess a remarkable ability to endure mental stress. More concerning is this structure. He pointed to a small region of the brain. The Tyurgan discovered it generates some form of psychic field when humans are threatened. Emperor Dravkor leaned forward. Psychic abilities. That's rare among sentient species. Most humans aren't aware they have this ability, Zach Strahl said. It appears to activate as a collective defense mechanism. The more aggressive the invader's intentions, the stronger the defense. He showed recovered footage from the Tyurgan invasion. Alien soldiers screaming, clawing at their heads, turning weapons on themselves or each other. The council watched in uneasy silence. "What you're suggesting is impossible," Admiral Pexful said, but his voice lacked conviction. "The final transmission from the Tyurgan commander," Zach Strahl said, playing one last recording. A battle-scarred alien appeared, blood seeping from his eyes. "They're in my mind. They know us now. They learned from each encounter. Do not return to Earth. They will be waiting. They will be stronger." Ryan Collins lay on an examination table as Dr. Bennett adjusted the brain scanning equipment. The headaches had become almost constant, but the images in his mind were clearer now. "I can see their ships," he said quietly. "I can see their weapons. I know how they work." Dr. Bennett looked concerned. "Who are they, Ryan?" "The ones who came before. The ones who tried to take our world." Ryan's eyes were unfocused. "They're coming again. Different ones this time, but with the same purpose." In the next room, 3 other patients with the same symptoms sat talking with researchers. Through the window, Ryan could see them drawing the same symbols he had sketched days ago. Dr. Bennett's phone rang. After a brief conversation, her face paled. "That was NASA," she said. "The International Space Station has lost contact with mission control. Before communications cut out, they reported seeing unidentified objects near Earth." Ryan nodded, unsurprised. "They're here to scout. The real force is still gathering." "How do you know that?" Dr. Bennett asked. Ryan touched his temple. "I can feel them. We all can. The ones like me." On the ISS, Kate Miller and John Dawson worked frantically to restore communications. The station's backup systems were functioning, but all signals to Earth remained blocked. "Look," John pointed out the viewport. 3 small metallic objects hovered just 100 meters from the station. They were smooth, oval-shaped, with no visible propulsion systems. As they watched, one of the objects moved closer to the station. A beam of light emerged from it, scanning the exterior of the ISS. "They're studying us," Kate whispered. John grabbed a camera and began taking pictures. "If we can't contact Earth, we need to document everything." Suddenly, Kate grabbed her head and cried out in pain. Images flashed through her mind. Star maps, alien faces, weapon systems, battle plans. Knowledge that wasn't hers flooded her consciousness. John rushed to her side. "Kate, what's wrong?" She looked up at him, her eyes wide. "I can see them, John. I know what they're planning." She pointed at the alien probes. "And somehow, I think they can hear me now." The council chamber fell silent as Zach Strahl concluded his presentation. The evidence was disturbing, yet some council members remained skeptical. Even if these psychic defenses exist, Admiral Pexfall argued, our technology has advanced significantly since the Tyurgan attempt. We can shield our soldiers' minds. Zach Strahl shook his head. The Tyurgan tried mental shields. The humans adapted and bypassed them. What makes humans truly dangerous is their ability to learn from each encounter. They absorb knowledge from those who attack them. Emperor Dravkor raised a hand for silence. Commander, you've presented concerning evidence, yet we cannot make decisions based on fear alone. Admiral Pexfall, prepare a small reconnaissance mission. No attack, just observation. We need current information. Zax Troll stepped forward. Your Highness, I must protest. Even a small force risks. Your concern is noted, Commander, the Emperor interrupted. But the decision is made. Admiral, your team will maintain distance and observe only. At the first sign of the phenomena, Zax Troll described, you will retreat immediately. Admiral Pexval bowed, a slight smile on his face. As you command, Your Highness. As the council adjourned, Zax Troll approached the Admiral. Do not underestimate them, he warned quietly. Pexval's eyes narrowed. Perhaps it is you who overestimates them, Commander. Fear has clouded your judgment. Military personnel swarmed the halls of Johns Hopkins as Dr. Bennett's research lab was converted into an emergency response center. Government officials had arrived shortly after communications with the ISS were lost. Ryan Collins sat in a conference room with 11 others who shared his symptoms. They had been brought in from across the country, each with the same strange brain activity and visions. A tall man in a dark suit entered the room. I'm Agent Clark, Homeland Security. We need your help understanding what's happening. Ryan spoke for the group. We're receiving information, knowledge that isn't ours, about them. He pointed upward. The objects near the ISS. Agent Clark asked. Scout ships, a woman named Diane answered. From the Galactic Empire. They're assessing our defenses before the main fleet arrives. Agent Clark looked skeptical. How could you possibly know that? Ryan closed his eyes. Images flashed through his mind. The same way we know they have energy weapons that can vaporize cities. The same way we know their ships are vulnerable where the propulsion systems connect to the main hull. He opened his eyes. We're learning from them as they study us. Dr. Bennett entered with new brain scans. Their neural activity is increasing. Something is accelerating the process. On the ISS, Kate floated near the viewport, her eyes fixed on the alien probes. The pain in her head had subsided, replaced by a strange clarity. Knowledge that wasn't hers filled her mind. They're called Sentinel drones, she told John. They're collecting data for the Galactic Empire. John stared at her. How do you know that? I can see into their systems somehow. It's like, she struggled to explain. Like I'm connected to their network. One of the probes suddenly moved closer to the station, its scanning beam intensifying. They've detected the change in me, Kate said. They're trying to understand what's happening. She placed her hand against the viewport glass. A strange sensation flowed through her, as if her consciousness was extending beyond her body. The probe's lights flickered. Kate, what are you doing? John asked, alarmed. Sending a message, she replied softly. Miles away on Earth, Ryan Collins and the others in the conference room gasped simultaneously. They could feel Kate's connection to the alien probe, could sense her message flowing through them and amplifying. We are not alone, Ryan whispered. There are thousands like us, maybe millions, all connecting now. The network is growing. In his mind, he could see the message Kate was sending to the aliens. It was simple but clear. We see you. We know you. Leave now. Admiral Pexval stood on the bridge of his command ship, the Vanguard, as it prepared to enter Earth's solar system. 3 smaller vessels accompanied it, each equipped with the latest sensor technology and mental shielding devices. Status report, Pexval demanded. All systems functioning at optimal levels, Admiral, his second-in-command replied. Mental shields are active and stable. We will reach the outer boundary of the system in 20 minutes. Pexval smiled, his sharp teeth gleaming in the blue light of the bridge. Excellent. Maintain communication silence once we enter the system. We observe only. In his private quarters, Zax Troll paced nervously. He had insisted on joining the mission despite the Admiral's objections. The Emperor had supported his request, hoping Zax Troll's experience would prove valuable if they encountered problems. Zax Troll checked his personal mental shield again. Unlike the standard issue shields the crew wore, His had been modified based on his knowledge of previous encounters with humans. It might not be enough, but it was better than nothing. His communication panel flashed. It was a private message from the Emperor. "Watch carefully, Commander. Report directly to me if the Admiral takes unnecessary risks." On Earth, the facility housing Ryan Collins and the others had been expanded. More people with the same symptoms arrived hourly. The large conference room now held dozens of individuals, all connected to this strange psychic network. Dr. Bennett moved through the room, checking on patients. Ryan sat with his eyes closed, concentrating. "They're coming," he said suddenly. Everyone in the room turned to him. "A small fleet, 4 ships. They think their mental shields will protect them." Agent Clark, who had been watching from the doorway, stepped forward. "How far away are they? What are their intentions?" "Entering the solar system now," Ryan answered. "They're here to observe, not attack. But they don't understand what they're dealing with." Diane, who sat nearby, opened her eyes. "The woman on the space station. Kate, she's the strongest connection." She touched one of their drones, created a direct link. Dr. Bennett looked concerned. "Is Kate in danger?" Ryan shook his head. "No. She's becoming something else. Something more." On the ISS, Kate floated in meditation. John watched her with growing concern. She hadn't spoken in hours, her eyes closed, her breathing slow and measured. The alien probes remained outside, their lights pulsing in a strange pattern that seemed synchronized with Kate's breathing. "Kate." John tried again. "Please say something." Her eyes opened slowly. They seemed different somehow, deeper, with flecks of light that hadn't been there before. "They're here," she said, her voice eerily calm. 4 ships, just past Neptune." John checked the sensors, shocked to see she was right. The instruments showed 4 objects moving into the solar system, though they should have been too distant to detect. "How do you know that?" he asked. "I can feel them," she replied. "All of us can. The network is growing stronger." She turned to look at him. "We need to send a message to Earth. The people there who are like me, they need to know what to do." "Communications are still down," John reminded her. Kate smiled slightly. "Not all of them." At that moment, every electronic device on the station activated simultaneously. Screens, tablets, communication systems, all showed the same message. Connect, unite, defend. On Earth, the same message appeared on screens in the facility where Ryan and the others were gathered. Ryan stood up. "It's time," he announced. "Everyone, join hands. Focus your thoughts on the ships entering our system. Show them what happens when they threaten Earth." As they formed a circle, Dr. Bennett watched in amazement as the lights in the room flickered and the air seemed to hum with energy. "What are you doing?" she asked. Ryan looked at her, his eyes now showing the same strange light as Kate's. "Teaching them a lesson they'll never forget." Admiral Pexval felt a slight pressure behind his eyes as the fleet crossed the orbit of Neptune. He dismissed it as stress and focused on the sensor readings. Scans detecting primitive satellites and 1 small space station, his officer reported. No significant defenses detected. "Move closer," Pexval ordered. "I want detailed scans of their major population centers." In his quarters, Zaxtrol felt it too, a subtle probing at the edges of his mind. His modified shields held, but barely. He activated his private communication channel to the bridge. "Admiral, we should maintain our distance. I'm detecting the early signs of psychic activity." Pexval's voice came back sharp with irritation. "Your concerns are noted, Commander. The shields are functioning perfectly." As the ships moved closer to Earth, the pressure increased. On the bridge, a junior officer suddenly screamed and collapsed. Medical personnel rushed to his side. "What happened?" demanded Pexval. "His shield malfunctioned," the medical officer reported. "He's experiencing severe hallucinations." Before Pexval could respond, 2 more crew members fell to their knees, clutching their heads. One of them began laughing uncontrollably while the other wept. Zack's Troll's voice came through again. "Admiral, we must retreat immediately. The psychic attack is beginning." In the facility on Earth, Ryan Collins and the others sat in a circle, their hands joined. Their eyes were closed, but their minds were reaching outward, extending far beyond the room, beyond the planet, touching the alien minds that had entered their solar system. Dr. Bennett monitored their vital signs with growing concern. Their heart rates were elevated, brain activity off the charts. Whatever they were doing was putting immense strain on their bodies. "They're fighting back," Ryan said through gritted teeth. "Their shields are stronger than before, but we can still get through." Diane squeezed his hand tighter. "Focus on their memories. Their fears. That's where they're weakest." Agent Clark watched helplessly from the sidelines as the room's temperature dropped several degrees. Frost began forming on the windows despite the summer heat outside. "Is this normal?" he asked Dr. Bennett. She shook her head. "Nothing about this is normal. They're channeling energy somehow, but I don't understand the mechanism." Ryan's voice cut through their conversation. "Kate is connecting with us now. With her help, we can reach all of them at once." On the ISS, Kate floated in the center of the module, her arms outstretched. The alien probes outside had moved even closer, their lights pulsing rapidly. Through them, she could sense the larger ships approaching Earth. "I can see them," she told John, who watched in awe. "I can feel their minds. They're afraid, but they don't want to admit it." John had given up trying to understand what was happening. The temperature in the station had dropped dramatically. His breath came out in visible puffs of vapor. "What exactly are you doing to them?" he asked. "We're showing them the truth," Kate replied. "About us, about themselves, about what happens to those who threaten Earth." Her body suddenly tensed, and she gasped. "They're preparing weapons. One of their leaders is panicking." On the Vanguard, chaos erupted as more crew members succumbed to the psychic assault. Some froze in place, unable to move. Others attacked their fellow crew members, seeing them as monsters or enemies. Admiral Pexfall ordered weapons prepared. "Target their largest cities. We must strike before." He never finished the sentence, his mind filled with terrifying images. Humans surviving wounds that should be fatal, adapting to attacks, learning from each encounter, growing stronger. He saw previous invasion forces being destroyed not by weapons, but by their own fear. "Admiral," his second-in-command shouted. "Your orders." Pexfall couldn't answer. Blood trickled from his nose and ears as the psychic pressure intensified. In his quarters, Zack's Troll activated the emergency protocols. He had expected this. The fleet needed to retreat, with or without the Admiral's orders. Alarms blared throughout the Vanguard as emergency protocols activated. The ship's computer had detected critical mental instability in over 60% of the crew. Automatic safeguards took control of the engines, preparing for immediate retreat. Zack's Troll hurried to the bridge. The scene that greeted him was worse than he had imagined. Officers lay on the floor, some unconscious, others muttering to themselves or staring with vacant eyes. Admiral Pexfall sat rigid in his command chair, blood streaming from his nose and ears, his three eyes wide with terror at something only he could see. "Admiral," Zack's Troll called, approaching cautiously. "We must leave now." Pexfall turned slowly. His voice came out as a whisper. "They showed me everything. Their history, their wars, what they do to each other, what they would do to us." A weapons officer suddenly lunged for the firing controls. "We must destroy them before they destroy us," he screamed. Zack's Troll moved quickly, striking the officer with a stun rod. He turned to the few crew members still functioning. "Set course away from this system, maximum speed." But the Admiral, one began, "is in no condition to command." Zack's Troll finished. "Emergency protocols give me authority. Now go." As the ship turned away from Earth, Zack's Troll looked at the monitor showing the other vessels in their fleet. One was already retreating. Another drifted aimlessly, its engines dark. The third was moving closer to Earth, its weapons powering up. The Relentless isn't responding to retreat signals, an officer reported. Zack's trawl watched helplessly as the ship continued its approach to Earth. Their captain must have lost control completely. In the facility on Earth, Ryan Collins suddenly broke away from the circle, gasping for breath. "One ship is still coming," he announced. "The others are retreating. But this one, its captain is completely broken. He's acting on pure rage and fear." Dr. Bennett checked his vital signs with concern. "You need to rest. All of you do. Your bodies can't take much more of this." "We don't have a choice," Diane said. "If that ship fires on Earth, millions could die." Ryan looked around the circle. Many had collapsed from exhaustion. Others were barely conscious. "We need Kate," he said. "She's the strongest link." On the ISS, Kate's body trembled with strain. The mental connection with so many minds was taking its toll. Through the alien probes still outside the station, she could sense the approaching warship. "John," she said weakly, "I need your help." He moved to her side, supporting her as she began to drift in the zero gravity. "What can I do?" "Hold my hand," she said. "Ground me. I need to focus everything on that last ship." John took her hand, surprised by how cold it felt. "Whatever you're doing is killing you, Kate." She managed a small smile. "Sometimes you have to risk everything to protect what matters." Kate closed her eyes and concentrated. She reached out to the damaged minds of the crew on the approaching ship. Most were beyond help, lost in their own nightmares. But the captain was still functioning, his rage driving him forward. She touched his mind directly, not with fear, but with understanding. She showed him Earth's beauty, its people, its potential. She showed him what would happen if he continued his attack, not just to Earth, but to his own people when humans eventually took their defense to the stars. On the Relentless, the captain's finger hovered over the firing control. Then, slowly, he pulled his hand away. Tears streamed down his face as he ordered the weapons powered down, and the ship turned around. From the Vanguard, Zack's trawl watched in amazement as the Relentless changed course and began to follow them out of the solar system. "They did it," he whispered. "Somehow, they reached through even the strongest hatred." Admiral Peckspall stirred in his chair. His eyes were clearer now, though haunted. "The Emperor must know," he said hoarsely. "No one must ever return to Earth." Zack's trawl nodded. "Not as enemies, at least." As the ships accelerated away from the solar system, Zack's trawl looked back at the small blue planet on the monitor. For the first time, he felt not fear, but hope. 6 months later, Zack's trawl stood before the Emperor and the full High Council. The chamber was packed with officials and military leaders, all eager to hear the final report on the Earth encounter. "The quarantine zone has been established," Zack's trawl concluded. "Warning beacons surround the Earth system, broadcasting in all known languages. No ships have attempted to violate the boundary." Emperor Dravkor nodded gravely, and Admiral Peckspall. "Still undergoing treatment," Zack's trawl replied, "as are many of the crew. The human psychic defense left deep mental scars. Some may never fully recover." The Emperor turned to the Council. "Let this be recorded in our history. Earth is not to be approached or contacted until they reach out to us first. Their unique defensive capabilities make them too dangerous to provoke." An elderly council member raised a hand. "Commander Zack's trawl, you were least affected by their psychic attack. How did you resist?" Zack's trawl considered his answer carefully. "I did not try to fight them. I accepted what they showed me and understood it as truth, not as an attack. Those who resisted suffered the most damage." As the council session ended, the Emperor summoned Zack's trawl to his private chambers. "There is more to your story than you shared with the council," the Emperor said once they were alone. Zack's trawl bowed his head. "Yes, Your Highness. In the final moments before we retreated, I received a message. Not of fear or warning, but of invitation." "Invitation." The Emperor looked surprised. They suggested that when we are ready to come in peace, they will welcome us as friends. They are not inherently aggressive. They defend, but do not conquer. The Emperor walked to the window, looking out at the stars. Perhaps one day, when we have advanced enough to approach them as equals. But not yet. On Earth, Kate Miller stood at the podium, addressing the United Nations Security Council. 6 months ago, she had been just an astronaut. Now she was Earth's first director of extraterrestrial relations. The alien probes left behind have provided us with invaluable technology, she explained. Their faster-than-light communication systems alone have advanced our science by centuries. Ryan Collins sat nearby with Dr. Bennett and several others who had been part of the Psychic Defense Network. All had recovered from the physical strain, though they retained their enhanced abilities. What we still don't understand, a representative from France said, is why this ability suddenly manifested in certain individuals. Kate smiled. It was always there, dormant in our DNA, a defense mechanism that activates only when Earth faces an existential threat. As the danger has passed, no new cases have emerged. And if they return? Asked another delegate. We'll be ready, Ryan answered. Those of us who connected once can do so again. And next time, we'll be stronger. After the meeting, Kate joined Ryan outside the UN building. The autumn air was crisp, leaves falling around them as they walked. Do you still feel them out there? Ryan asked. Kate nodded, faintly. They're respecting the boundary they established, but they're curious about us. Do you think they'll come back? Eventually, but not as conquerors. She looked up at the sky. I showed their captain our potential, what we could become if given the chance to develop in peace. Ryan smiled. From what I sensed of their minds, they're not used to species like us. No one is, Kate agreed. That's what makes us special. We adapt, we learn, we survive. They stopped at a viewpoint overlooking the city. Lights were coming on as evening approached, the skyline glittering against the darkening sky. You know, Kate said quietly, before all this, I never thought much about our place in the universe. Now I realize we're just beginning our journey. Ryan looked up at the first stars appearing overhead. And the galaxy isn't ready for us. Kate smiled. No, but they will be.